Hi, welcome to the House of Valentina. I'm Valentina, and I am actually hanging out at the house momentarily alone. Everybody is out, and I just thought I'm gonna take a few quick moments, sit with my cup of coffee, and have just a fun little chat with you guys. We were looking back at some of the videos and noticing that there was a trend in the comment section. There were a lot of you that were asking about how to create a sophisticated home. And I mentioned recently in one of my videos, I had said, use a sophisticated color palette. And you guys wanted to know, what does that even mean? And I thought, yeah, what does that mean? So I thought it'd be really fun while we just have a few minutes to chat together to talk about how do you create a sophisticated home? What does it even mean to have a sophisticated home? Is it achievable at all budgets? And what elements would I even be trying to include in it? Those are just a few of the things that we'll be covering today. I hope that sounds like fun to you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I cannot believe we've already hit 110,000 subscribers. You guys, that's amazing. That's amazing. So thank you so much. And don't forget that we love hearing from you. So we love when we get a thumbs up for the video, and leave down in the comment section if you love this kind of content and you want more of it. Let us know, because when you let us know, then we'll make the content around it. Let's jump in and talk about sophistication. Doesn't that sound like so much fun? Sip of coffee first. When I started to think about this video and what questions you guys were asking, I asked myself, what does it mean even to be sophisticated? How would you even define that? I really had never thought of it that way before and really dissected this idea. So I looked up on Webster's Dictionary. Webster's Dictionary has been providing us a definition since 1828. So I'm thinking this is probably gonna be a pretty good definition of the word. And this is how they describe it. It's deprived of native or original simplicity. That sounds complicated. Such as, okay, I'm like, what does that even mean? That means that it would be highly complicated or developed. It's complex. Having a refined knowledge of the ways of the world, cultivated especially through wide experience. Devoid of grossness. So it would be finely experienced and aware, intellectually appealing. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of pressure. I'm definitely not going to call myself sophisticated anytime soon. That sounds so formal and unachievable. I don't know. To me, sophistication is about being well-traveled, even if it's just through a book. It's about being open to cultures and being a person who loves to learn and to grow as a person, and your home reflects that. I think being sophisticated is also about being refined and elegant. What does a sophisticated home even look like? I think that a sophisticated home is glamorous, it's grand, it's well thought out, something that's slightly elevated about it. Every detail is thought about. It's really about thoughtfulness. So I think one of the first ways to really create a sophisticated home is to start with a sophisticated palette. So to create a sophisticated palette, I think that you could go one of two directions. You can go with a really dark, dramatic color palette. I think in this realm, there is a play against dark and light, and you really want to use really deep, rich colors. You want to use deep charcoals and aubergine, dark chocolate. Even black is, for some reason, we just seem to read that color as a sophisticated color. But there's the opposite side as well. You can use a sophisticated palette that's light and creamy. I think of warm taupes and creamy colors that just feel so chic and elegant. And there's just something about the palette itself that really just carries the space. And it's really about what you're gonna add on to it that will help the eye decide whether it's going to be sophisticated or not. So let's talk about those details. I think some of the details that your eye would be looking for is looking for architectural details. There's something exquisite, something elevated. There's those details that have been finished and really thought out in the space. So architectural details like crown molding, large windows, maybe iron doors. These are what our mind reads as sophisticated. Wood floors are something else that I would put into that category. And I think a lot of it is about the materials themselves and what material you have put into the space. So rather than a faux marble, which might read in our mind as something that's less sophisticated, a rich, natural marble that's come from nature, it's having this well-developed palette that is something that you really appreciate, and so do others. And that's why I think that marble and stone, granite, all of those kinds of elements are something that in our minds we read as very sophisticated. I think one of the key elements in a sophisticated home is tailoring. I think having something tailored makes a huge difference. You can sit 2 sofas side by side, and one is really loose, got more of a free form, it's very relaxed. If you put that next to something that's extremely tailored, it's got this sort of tailoring to it that just in your mind, it reads it as sophisticated. Those 2 sofas can cost the same exact, and a lot of times the sophisticated tailored one may actually even cost less. So it really doesn't have to do about budget. It's the way that your mind reads a space and what feels like all the details have been attended to, and there's a sort of elegance, a sort of cool elegance about it. Can you have a sophisticated home on any budget? I think the answer is absolutely yes. What are the key things that we can do to create a sophisticated look even when we're working on a budget? I think it really goes back to all these things that we've been talking about. It's really about understanding that the color palette really does play a huge role in your space. What kinds of woods do you use? What kinds of finishes do you use? You can have 2 woods that sit next to each other. One might feel more sophisticated than the other. What's the difference? I think having something that has a little bit higher sheen on it, something that has a higher gloss to it, a lot of times our minds read that as more sophisticated. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the way that our eyes have been trained to see the world around us. Craftsmanship is a really big thing. I think the quality on your items is a really big deal. So try to look for the highest quality that you can afford. And you guys know, I do IKEA visits all the time, and I'm on the hunt for those key pieces that I can pull into my home that will help it to feel more elevated and sophisticated. I think some of the other things that are really important are having books in your space. I think having art in your home is really important. And I know that sometimes having real authentic art can be expensive. It's not that it's impossible. There's definitely ways around it by going with local artists or new artists that are just getting their start. But generally, this idea of having real art in your home, it says something about you, what you're interested in, and that you've put thoughtfulness into even what goes up on your walls. I think that if you have real greenery, real florals in your home, it's always gonna read more sophisticated than faux. That doesn't mean that you can't have faux in your space, but again, you're looking for the most authentic version. And I think that sort of authenticity is where your mind decides whether you're believing it or not. The simplest way to make your space feel more sophisticated is just to simply clean up and declutter, to make sure that your linens are ironed and that things aren't askew. Again, it goes back to this idea of attentiveness to details. So the chairs are tucked under, everything isn't just all over the place. It's that things are in their place, and there's this idea that you have really tailored the space and that you have put the thoughtfulness in to keep it clean and tidy and to have a system in place. And it's a developed system that keeps your home tidy. I think all those things really will help you create a very sophisticated space no matter what your budget is. I was sitting here thinking about some of the most sophisticated people that I've met in my life and what was my reaction to them and what did I take away from it? And I was thinking, so many of the sophisticated people that I've met, there's something about them that is very interesting. There's something very elegant and graceful about sophisticated people. There's a gentleness, I think, as well. I think in my mind growing up, sophisticated people, sophisticated homes were very unapproachable. That meant that person maybe didn't laugh out loud too much, or I don't know. It's like we have these ideas in our mind of what it means. And when I really started to think about it, I was like, wow, I learned a lot from those sophisticated people. It made me curious about them and about the world around me and the experiences maybe that they had. And I thought that was really interesting. I think that there's a grace about a sophisticated home, that there's a graciousness, there's a hospitality that goes around a sophisticated home, that you've really attended not only to the details of your home, but to the details of yourself and to those that enter your home. There's something really special and really thoughtful about everything that you do. That's what life is really all about, is to enjoy it, to make it fun. The journey of putting your home together should be fun and adventurous, and I love it. And I love so much that you guys are here and on this journey with me. So thank you so much. I'm gonna sip my coffee and enjoy my afternoon and probably catch up with my kids and sit out in the sun and that's an amazing day. So I hope that wherever you are in the world today, that you're having a wonderful day. I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you in the next one. Ooh, don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't. That way we make sure to see each other again, okay? Subscribe and like and comment. Thank you again for stopping by, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.